I'm Kim. I am with Freedom First. I am the Responsible Rides Coordinator, and this is Brandon of Zero's Auto Sales, and he is going to go over how to properly maintain your vehicle for the Responsible Rides program.
It's always a good idea to check your oil often when you get a new car, because you don't know whether it's leaking or burning or if it's still full. You don't know. So at least once a week you should check your oil in pretty much every car out there. When you go to check your oil, most cars have a yellow dipstick. That will be for your oil. Just pull your stick out, wipe it off so it's good and clean. Stick it all the way back down in there and pull it back out. This car is full. We just got this car in. If it's full, just put it back in there and you're done. If you need to add oil, if it's low or anything, there's a cap right here on top of the motor. Most of them say what type of oil the car takes. It's pretty standard and self-explanatory. Just pull the cap off and you can pour the oil right in that hole, ever how much it needs. Now, when to change your oil. And this is some of the best money that you'll spend on your car. Depends on what type of oil you go with. Some of them's 3,000 miles, some of them's 5,000 miles. If you go with a full synthetic, which is what most newer cars take, you can go 5,000 miles. After 5,000 miles, take it in, have it changed again. It will save you a lot of money in the long run. If you use conventional or a synthetic blend, I always change them at 3,000 miles. You need to know what oil your car has in it to know when you need to change it. So we have our different type of oils here. The car we were just looking at takes a 5W20. We have a synthetic blend 520 or a full synthetic 520. The full synthetic is a little bit better oil, but it costs more. You can go a little bit farther on the oil change, so at the end of the day it equals out. It's not a lot of difference either way. I run the full synthetic in all of my stuff. It works great. If you wanted to save a little money, if it was tight, you can go with a synthetic blend. All right, next we have your air filter. It's not something you have to do real often, but they do get dirty because it filters all the air going into the motor. Best thing to do is when it's at the shop, say, hey, can you look at my air filter? If it needs one, put one in it. But on this car, it's in this box right here. It unclips and the box will come up and the air filter's under it. All cars are different, but wherever this tube is at right here, it'll run over to a box of some sort and the air filter will be in there. This one come out of a truck. I got to put it back in there, but it's pretty much new. Somebody has not been long and replaced this air filter. This one is out of an old farm truck and it's dirty. It could use replacing, but it don't have to be. I mean, when they get clogged up, it will look like that all the way across here. But typically when they have that much dirt on it, we're not talking about a lot of money. Just go and put a new one in it. Next thing we have is our battery. On this car, it's right here under this cover. As you can see, this one needs a major cleaning. Anytime you have this powdery stuff on there, it's just acid corrosion. It will cause all kinds of problems. If this is your car, just take it in at your next service and saying, hey, I need you to clean my battery up, and they'll take care of it for you. If your battery happens to die or go dead, instead of having it towed, you can have it jumped off by another car or a jumper box. When you go to hook it up, it's pretty simple, but all right, on your battery you have a negative and a positive side. The battery will be labeled right here on top at the post somewhere. When you go to hook it up, black is always negative. That's your ground side. Just clamp it on. Positive is always red. Just hook it up like that with the jumper box. Jumper box charged, it should fire right up. If not, chances are you have another issue. In that case, it'll have to be towed or took to a shop. After you jump it off, just unhook your jumper box and take it right then to have it fixed. Don't cut it off, because if you cut it off, chances are it's not going to start again. If you're using jumper cables, it's the same principle. The only thing is you got to hook your jumper cables up to another car the exact same way. It's always good to know how to change a tire in case you have a flat going down the road. What we have here is tools, and they are specific to each vehicle. It should have a kit in the back with a spare tire and all that. We have the jack here, which they're not the best things in the world, but they'll work. But anyway, you can wind it up, place it under your vehicle right here. They all have like it's called a pinch well, but it's a little place where you can jack your car up underneath here. And Hondas are specific because they have 4 individual places, but just you have to jack it up in the right place, don't you'll tear something up. All right, it has some pressure on it there. And these tools and everything, some of them's in a bag, some of them's not. But all cars have this kit inside of the car somewhere. Before you get the tire off the ground, make sure you break your lug nuts loose, or you have to let it back down. Once the tire's off the ground, just pull your lug nuts all the way off. And that's it. All you have to do is get your spare out of the back and stick it right back on in the reverse order. We got our tire off. Putting it back on, just line your wheel studs up. It'll slide back on them. Stick the lug nuts back on. You get your lug nuts back on there and run all the way up. Just run them up to where they're snug like that. And then come back over here and let the car back down on the ground so you can actually tighten them up. So on some cars, if the wheel's not on the ground, it'll just sit there and spin. So you have to let it back down. Once the wheel is back on the ground, and that is just the basics of changing the tire if you have a flat. And next we have airing your tires. Most passenger cars, SUVs, they have a 4-ply tire. You're gonna run 35 to 38 pounds of air in them. Some people recommend 40, depending on the vehicle. Anywhere between there will be fine. When you get down to 25 pounds of air or so, you need to add some to it. It'll cause your tires to wear funny, reduce the life of your tires. Tires are expensive. When you go to check the air in your tire, you have a little plastic cap, or some of them's metal, but you'll have a little cap. Just twist it off. Tire pressure gauge. That tire come up to 30 pounds. All right, I always like to double check mine, just make sure. This one's got 30 pounds in it. It's a little bit low. So what we'll do, take our air hose, just add a little bit of air to it. Went a little too high. It's got right at 40 pounds in it. And let just a hair out. $38 pounds. As you can see, this tire right here, the tread is not wore even. It's slim on the inside and the outside of the tire. A couple things can cause that. It can be out of line. Somebody could have let the tire get low at one point in time. That goes back to when they get low, they don't wear as good. Tires are expensive. Rotating them is very important. I run full synthetic oil in my truck. I rotate my tires every 5,000 miles. I pull it in, change oil, rotate the tires at the same time. I can change oil, rotate the tires, look at my brakes, do all that at the same time. I have a penny. If you want to check the tread on your tire, just take a penny, and on the head side of it, you can flip it upside down just like that and stick it down in the tread, and it should be at his hairline or above. As you can see on that one right there, it's at the hairline or above. But like I say, this tire needs to be replaced because of the tread right here on the outside and the tread on the inside. Like I say, I feel like somebody let this tire get low and it just wore the tire out. But when you check your tires, if they're wore even across the tire and the tread depth is up to his hairline on the penny, you're good. I wouldn't worry about doing anything. If they're wearing uneven or wearing funny, I would take it in and have it looked at. Something could be wore out causing that, or it could just be out of line and need alignment. Either one could happen, but whichever shop you take it to, they can tell you one way or another. A lot of people don't know how to check your brakes. I can show you. Best thing to do, you take it in for oil change. Just say, hey, can you look at my brakes, see how they are? I don't know of any shops that won't take a glance at them and say, hey, you need them or you don't need them. Another thing is they have squealers on them right here. And when the pad gets down so low, that little metal tab will hit the rotor. And when it hits the rotor, they'll start squeaking and making all kinds of noise. If you start hearing like a squeak or noise out of your brakes, or if they start shaking real bad or something, take your car in and have it looked at. Even if they tell you it's nothing wrong with it, if they're making noise or shaking or doing something that they're not supposed to, there's an issue somewhere. All right, on your vehicle, once you pull the wheel off, you have a few things here. You have your brake rotor right here. Of course, this one looks kind of rough because it's rusty. But that's your brake rotor. Right here is your caliper. On the back side of the caliper right here is your brake pad. The pads on, I can see the pads on this truck right here. They're roughly half wore out. So I'll leave them alone as long as they're not doing anything funny. But if you wanted to look at your brakes and everything, there's a little hole on the back side of the caliper here. You can look right into the brake pad right there. And you can see exactly how much pad is left. I can't turn it. Also, I don't know if you can get in there or not. You can look right back here and you can see the pad itself. Just don't get the pad confused with the actual metal plate on the pad. So make sure you take a good look if you do check them. That way you don't think you have brakes and you don't. So just take a good look, but best thing to do is just have the mechanic look at it when you take it in for oil change. Like I say, they can look at it real quick. Next, we have your serpentine belt and your timing belt. Not all cars have a timing belt, but the ones that do, it is extremely important to change it when it's time. Typically, it's every 90 to 100,000 miles. But anyway, your timing belt, it just goes right in here. It goes in behind these covers on the front of the motor and all. You can keep track of it, and when it's time to change it, you can take it to a shop and say, hey, I need a timing belt changed in my car. They'll be more than happy to do it. They'll give you an estimate on what it's going to cost you. Also on this side of the motor, we have a serpentine belt. It's right here, it runs around that pulley and them other pulleys right there. It runs your alternator, your air compressor, power steering, water pump, and all of them is major things that the car has to have to keep running. On your power steering fluid, you have a reservoir for it, and it is labeled of how full it needs to be. It's labeled right here, the maximum mark. It should be up close to it. If it is, just leave it alone, it'll be fine. If it's not, if it's just a little low, add some to it. If it's a lot low, you have a leak, you need to take it to a garage. On your antifreeze, you check it the same way as most. It's got a line that says maximum. It should come up to there. This one has a cap. This one has a cap right here. That's where you'll add your antifreeze. It's what keeps your car from overheating. The mark is right here at that line. That's when you check it, just make sure it's up to that line. If you have to add any, be careful on what antifreeze you buy. Some of it does not mix with others. Make sure you get the universal formula that mixes with any type antifreeze. Next, we have checking our transmission fluid. Not all cars you can check the transmission fluid because they don't have a dipstick. Sometimes whatever shop you're at will have to do it because they have to get underneath the car. On this one, it has one, so we can run through that. It's right here. This one has a red cap or orange. They can be different colors. They can be red, orange, black, whatever the case is. When checking your trans fluid, the vehicle should be running, it should be in park, and it should have run for a little while to let the trans warm up some. On this one right here, it says 65 degrees Celsius, which is, it's gonna be 100 and some degrees Fahrenheit. And they do that because as the trans warms up, the level will change. But on this one, it's actually just a hair above full, which is fine. It's not enough to affect anything. But when you check it, it should be a red color. If it is a brown or a black or discolored or smells funny, it needs to be serviced bad. Once again, you're gonna have to take it to a shop. They'll have to do it. But that goes back to the life of your vehicle. If you don't do it, it's gonna give you trouble. And when it gives you trouble, it's gonna cost you a lot of money. When you check your transmission fluid, in my opinion, it's always a good idea to go through them when you're checking your fluids. If you go to check your oil, you can check your power steering fluid, your antifreeze, your transmission fluid. You can check them all at the same time, and it'll take all of 10 minutes.
Brandon, thank you so much for doing the video for us today. I think everything that you went over on the vehicles is very helpful. So I really appreciate you being a team player and helping us out. We hope this video helps you with your responsible rides. Thank you so much for watching.